on, guys? Step in the room, tap in. It's early in the morning. I'm back as promised. And we about to do part 2. It was a struggle this morning. It was a struggle, but I'm here. I gotta tell y'all what happened. I didn't get to bed last night. I think I was doing like 2 o'clock in the morning. Don't ask me why. Knowing darn well I had to be up early. Let me go stop this music so we can get into it. Yes, I have a story to tell y'all. All right, people, beautiful people, kings and queens, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. This is your morning announcements. Y'all still in the bed? Okay, I'm jealous because right now, listen, it took everything. It took everything for me to get up. But remember, I was telling y'all yesterday that's one of my big problems, the consistency. So I said, listen, girl, we ain't even been doing it a month. This is only day 2. Get your butt up. We ain't doing no excuses. You knew you had to be up early, staying up 2 o'clock in the morning. What's wrong with you? So I'm here. And we're gonna get this party started. So, let's see. How was y'all Saturday? What did y'all do? What did you get into? I was home all day, okay? It was a scrambled day yesterday because when I got done everything, I later ended up crashing. I woke up too late and I had to do a video because I have a music video that's going to be up next week, and I had to do it, and I was scrambling and everything, but that goes into why I stayed up so late last night. So yeah, it got done. That's all that matters. Listen, as long as I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, it don't matter. It was done late, but better late than never, right? That's the motto that I'm going to go by. Put it on my gravestone. Better late than never. Okay, so this morning, if you get a chance, check out the video that I just put up. It is the continuation to this conversation. It is in the reels. So go to my page and check it out. We're going to continue today talking about the New Year blues. So yesterday we went over a lot of the problems and issues that's associated with the New Year blues. If you didn't get a chance to see it, make sure you check it out after this live is finished, so that way you don't be lost and you know what's going on. So we went over a lot of the problems yesterday, so today we're going to get into some of these solutions. So I feel like a lot of it comes down to our character traits, who we are as a person, because that's going to pretty much determine how we make decisions moving, day to day in life. So you guys actually had a homework assignment. Don't think I forgot. Y'all supposed to sit there and write out y'all weaknesses and y'all strengths. So who completed the assignment? Let's not all speak up at once. Okay. So anyway, yes, you guys had a homework assignment to complete. And of course, I did my homework assignment and I took the time and wrote out these character traits just in case y'all was going to be not doing it. I did it for you, see? So you still got to do it anyway. So we're going to get into these character traits. Some of these character traits are double-sided. It comes with a double-edged sword. So while it might sound positive, depending on the type of person that you are, depending on how you utilize it, it can also have a negative effect. So we have to talk about that, because you need to figure out which way are you using this sword. Are you using it on the positive or are you using it on the negative? So again, these are for you to do your own self-check and to figure out, how you are utilizing your character traits. So we're going to talk about the first one. The first one is, are you creative? If you're a creative person, then that means that it's going to be easy for you to, especially like if you're a content creator, it's going to be easy for you to come up with content. You're creative, you can come up with stuff. If you're on the job, it's easy for you to probably come up with solutions and things when things are going bad, or you need, something, because you being a creative person, it's definitely a strength, So if that's you, go ahead and give yourself a check mark or a star or whatever and say, okay, yes, that's one thing that's working in your favor. Are you an honest person? Do you have integrity? Obviously this is going to be a positive trait. It's going to help you, especially if you're, in the office, you're running for mayor or something to that nature, because a lot of times when it comes to those type of situations, what's the first thing we think? They're corrupt. They just gonna say anything, the senator, to get the position. But if you've had everyone has known you forever, and that has been your reputation, being an honest person, but having integrity, this is going to help you a long way, as far as your character and how you are. There's times that people might try to use that against you also. So for instance, I have certain people, mainly guys, but they will ask me, well, Candi, why don't you just make an OnlyFans, or, do some twerk content? I bet you your numbers will go up, or you'll, blah, blah, blah. Listen, that's not aligned with what I'm trying to do, okay? If I was more worried about my numbers and this and the third, then that would be the type of content that I would mainly be creating if I was just focused on my body and trying to promote my body to get me numbers. That's not my lane. So everything, you have to know your audience. Some people will go a way where they're just trying to, like, even if you're someone who, listen, the business of drug dealing and things, it's not an honest work, but some people will do it because it might get them money faster. They might want to take a shortcut, but all shortcuts are not good. So that's up to you to determine. Some people don't mind. Again, that will be up to you and what your standards are to determine what's honest, what's integrity, if it's going to work for you, if you mind or if you don't. So another thing, are you a compassionate person? This is obviously going to be a positive character trait. Are you the person who don't mind helping someone else? However, it can also be negative. Do you know when you're being taken advantage of? Do you allow your compassion to go into a toxic state where now, you know, people are using you, people are taking advantage of you, you're saying yes to things you really want to say no to, you know, so you have to be able to tap into yourself and figure out if that's the area that you're struggling with, and you say, you know what, I am compassionate, and sometimes it do, you know, come out in a way that is not really beneficial to you. Again, some of them are double-edged swords, and sometimes it can have a negative impact, even though it's a positive quality, you know, character trait. Let's see. Optimistic. Are you someone who's optimistic? I will be honest, and I will say I lead my decisions more based in a negative mindset. You know, like what I mean by that is when I'm making a decision, I don't usually explore the positive stuff first. My mind always goes straight to the negative, because my way of thinking is like, whatever the good stuff is, that's not what I'm going to be focused on, because obviously it's all good. I want to put my energy, let me know what are the negatives, because honestly the negatives is what's going to determine my decision, not the good stuff. So you can sit here and tell me, oh my gosh, if you go skydiving, if you know, it's going to be thrill seeking, you're going to like, it's something you've never done in your life, it's going to, you know, bring up so many emotions you never went through, it's going to be amazing, it's going to feel great, you know, all this great positive stuff. But then when you start telling me, you know, well, there is a possibility that, you know, this can malfunction, you'll fall to your death, it's like, you know what, I've made my decision. I think I made my decision. So this is why you didn't even have to tell me all the good stuff first, because honestly none of that stuff matters depending on what you're telling me in the bad category. So let's explore that. It's almost like those commercials when they're like telling you all about the health benefits of this medication, and they reeling you in like, okay, yeah, because I do, you know, I have that issue. Okay, it's going to help me with my heart problem. This, that, okay, yeah, this sounds good. I might want to try that pill. And then at the very end, they're like, oh, you can have a stroke in your sleep. You can do this. You'll have massive diarrhea. You'll that in here. And you're like, what the? And then see, now here I was already starting the paperwork. Now, why you leave that part out? Because see, now you don't waste both of our time. So that's how I work. You know, some of my people around me don't necessarily like that I work that way, and they're like, oh, you gotta be more optimistic, you gotta think of the positive, you know, and I don't really consider my way of thinking bad though. So that's what I'm saying, it has to work for you. I just feel like that's what brings me comfort, you know, as far as like having those contingency plans lined up, you know, like even with the job that I'm gonna be starting tomorrow, like I'll sit there and be like, okay, what could possibly be the issues that I might have tomorrow? Like, because I like to start thinking about those things so that if for some reason I can already start building up contingency plans in my head. You know, I don't like the element of surprises, negative ones. So I like to already have my contingency plan. And, you know, my people will be like, why are you already thinking negative? Just, you know, everything's going to be fine. You already thinking about it might be an issue. I said, listen, I'm not thinking of issues because I'm like wanting it to be an issue. My thing is, I'm not that I'll cross that bridge when I get there person. Some people are, I'll cross that bridge when I get there. That works for them because it stresses them out to think about all of this negative stuff that might possibly happen. They're like, I'm not wasting my energy on things that may not even happen. I'm not gonna do that. If it happens, I'll cross that bridge when I get there. That might work for you. But see, that stresses me out. Because yes, even though I'm wasting energy on things that may not never happen, the part that stresses me out is what if it does? if it does happen, then what? I don't want to be sitting there with like a chicken with my head cut off. Like, I want to feel confident, feel like, ooh, see, I already thought about this. This is what we're gonna do. You know what I mean? Like, I love having those contingency plans. So if something come up, you know, I already got a plan for that. Then I even thought about what we gonna do if that happens. So, you know, everything works different for everybody. So for me, I don't really think that that's going to change, you know, because technically they'll say my view is not optimistic. I don't really consider it pessimistic, you know, oh, you're looking at the glass half empty, not half full. I like to just say, listen, I'm realistic. I ain't optimistic because I'm realistic. I'm thinking of all the realistic things that might happen, and then I'm making my choice. I'm not going to sit there and be like, oh, everything will be great, or this. No, I can't do it. I need to know the real life facts and make real life decisions, okay? So that's what I'm going to classify myself as, realistic. But again, are you an optimistic person? Are you a pessimistic person? What do you identify as, and is it working for you? Because again, it doesn't always mean that it's not working for you. However, you know, your way of seeing is. Are you courageous? You know what I mean? Like, are you that person who's willing to try things that other people are not? Some of these great businesses that's out here, these people had to be courageous. They didn't know if it was going to flop. They didn't know if they were going to make money. They didn't know any of these things. That's a big risk that you're taking when you're starting entrepreneurship and you're, you know, putting all this money out or this, that, and the third. You have to be courageous. So it's a double-edged sword because, yes, sometimes you're courageous and you take chances on things that end up flopping or not going the way how you planned. And now, you know, but it's a chance that you have to take. What if it works? A lot of times we focus on what if it don't, but what if it do? You know what I mean? So you have to have the discernment to know, is this a realistic, am I setting myself up here? Do this seem like something that's going to actually work? Or am I just going in blindly? Because that's not being courageous. If I know I don't know nothing about this field, but I just heard it make a lot of money, and then I just want to be a part of it. Okay, I'm not saying if you don't know nothing about it, you can't be a part of it, but you might want to do some research. You might want to make sure that you're connecting with people who are qualified. Like, you can't just be courageous blindly. You know what I mean? It got to make sense. So that's, you know, something to take into consideration. Are you agreeable? Would you say that you're an agreeable type of person? This can be an absolutely positive thing, especially in relationships. I know that it's my understanding that that's a character trait that men find very sexy. They're women to be agreeable. Now, obviously, someone who's not always trying to find conflict and everything, go back and forth and everything, that's obviously going to be a magnetic thing that's going to pull people to you. But again, double-edged sword. Are you agreeable in situations that you probably should speak up and have a voice and not just be a yes man just because you don't want conflict or you know, whatever the situation is? So again, it all comes down to that discernment, knowing when to be agreeable and knowing when it's time that you should probably speak up and have a voice. Because being, especially like, okay, are you a quiet person? Kind of understand, because if you're a quiet person, that's actually in this world today with a bunch of people who only want to, everybody that want to talk, don't ever want to listen. They always want the chance to get their opinion and stuff out. So actually being someone who kind of can sit there and actually be a great listener, not only is a skill that a lot of people don't have, and you can pick up on it, a lot of things that people are saying, but again, Are you going to speak up when it matters? Are you just blending in and being part of the furniture? So you have to make sure that you are having that balance. Are you cooperative? Are you a cooperative person? Will people actually even want to work with you? Will they actually even want to network with you? So yes, think about that as far as yourself, because obviously that's not a character trait that people are going to find attractive. If you're not a cooperative person, if you're always, acting in a way that turns people off, being even with, think about employees, co-workers. I remember when I started in a nursing home, and I was making myself available to help people when they needed help, but as soon as when I needed help, they didn't want to cooperate. Can't you figure it out? Wow, that's interesting. Because I could swear you couldn't just figure it out a minute ago, but I should just figure it out, Are you a team player? Are you cooperative? Are you able to, being a team player has its benefits, like I said, and also being someone who works alone has its benefits, but are you able to do both? Because if you're able to do both, then that's going to get you very far. If you only prefer one, that can be problematic, because if you someone who likes to work in a team, but then sometimes you might be in a situation where you have to be on your own, that's going to trip you up, and vice versa. If you prefer to do things on your own, but then you're thrown in a setting where you have to work with people, that could trip you up, because so you have to find a way to build up yourself in these different areas that you might be a little weaker in. Let's see. Are you a loyal person? Now, loyal does not mean blindly loyal. There's times when people need to be cut off. And sometimes a title don't mean anything. And so you have to be loyal because this is your daughter. You have to be loyal because this is your mom. You have to be loyal because this has been your best friend since the 3rd grade. You have to be loyal because, no. If someone is not working with you in a way that's being reciprocated in the way that you're treating them, they being shady, they backstabbing you, all of this type of crazy stuff, you just can't be around here being blindly loyal because of titles and, because the thing is, if they're going to treat you that way and you're going to still be with them, what does that really say about yourself and your self-worth? So, yes, you have to be able to have that discernment to know, when does my loyalty cut off? Where are my boundaries? And when you put boundaries in place, do you keep them? Or do you keep adjusting them according to the person who's doing it? So you say, well, I can have solid boundaries with this coworker because, it is not really my friend. But it's hard for me to stick these boundaries to my cousin because that's family. So what does it look like? What do your boundaries look like? Are they movable depending on the person? Or do you hold firm no matter who it is? Because disrespect is disrespect. It doesn't become a lighter disrespect just because it's your mom. It doesn't become a lighter disrespect just because it's your, it doesn't. So you have to do a self-check and ask yourself, how do I, handle myself when it comes to loyalty, boundaries, all of these type of things? Are you bossy? Bossy can work in both ways, because if you have a boss attitude, that means that you're not more worried about being someone's friend. You came to do a job and you're going to get it done. Now see, that can hold some people back who are more like passive aggressive. They may not feel comfortable or confident taking on a boss role because they're more worried about hurting people's feelings. They're more worried about wanting to come off friendly, so it's actually uncomfortable to be in a boss role where you have to delegate, make decisions that are difficult and things like that. So if you are trying to put yourself in a boss position, do you have the character traits to do that? But also, are you able to be a boss that is not a B word? Because no one wants to be, listen, you know when you had a job and that boss that come in that everybody's like, oh, here comes Sheila. You know how she about to be drawing right now. Are you drunk on power when you're a boss? You know, are you just out here ruining everybody's life, pissing everybody off, you know, just because you throwing around your power card? You know, are you a fair boss? Are you able to be a fair boss? Like, so again, a double-edged sword. Knowing how to, you know, be even. We know you the boss, dang, you know. Do you have confidence? Do you have confidence in yourself? What kind of person are you? You know, when you step into a room, what kind of presence do you bring? You come in a room like, yeah, I'm in here. I want you to look at me. I need everybody to see me. Because there are some people like that. They step in a room and they want to make it known. They want everybody to know, I'm here. Yup, me. I'm in the room. Candy's here. And then you have the people who step in the room and please don't notice me. I don't want to be noticed. I don't want nobody asking questions. I'm coming in, just kind of walking down, not looking at anyone. You know, just, I don't want to make no eye contact because please don't even talk to me. Don't ask me anything. How do you carry yourself? You know, neither one of them, in my opinion, I feel like they're both on the extremes. One extreme, the pick me, notice me person, I have to have the spotlight. And then the person who is very insecure and please let me blend in with this furniture. So how do you just walk in confident, you know, even? How do you do that? Can you do it? Do you do it? Or are you on one of the other extremes? So that's a question. Are you fair? Now, a lot of you might think, oh, fair, that gotta be just good. But no, fair can actually have a negative part to it too. So you have to have discernment. Every situation you shouldn't be fair in. Some things you have to be able to make a decision and say, that's not what's needed in this situation. If you own a restaurant, and usually you like to keep it fair, you like people to rotate, you know, because you know sometimes people don't want to just be stuck on this station or stuck on this station or doing this. So you like to rotate it. You like to keep it fair. You like everybody to get a little chance here, there, whatever. But if these two particular people that you're rotating, one person's in the back working the kitchen, one person's in the front working, you know, the front of the house, and they excel in those situations, and they let you know, hey, you know, me and Mike came up with the decision that we were going to stick to our stations instead of rotating because, you know, I do really well here and this person do really well here. And then you as the boss say, no, we're not going to do that. You know, I need you guys to rotate, la da da da. Because you want to keep it fair, right? But that decision might potentially work against your business, because this person go in the kitchen, they don't do good. Now food coming out burnt, this and the third. This person, you know, being the host and they're not good at that job. Like, sometimes you gotta recognize this person's good here, keep them there. This person's good here, keep them there. You know, so sometimes it's not about that. You have kids, a lot of times us as parents, we want to be a fair parent, right? So that means that everything that we do with this one, we have to do with this one, because we want to be fair. We don't want to have that conversation later. Oh, you let this one do this, and you didn't let me do this, and you were unfair, and blah, blah, blah. But guess what? It's discernment, because you might have said, oh, 16 is the age in this house where the kids can date, you know, blah, blah, blah. But Susie was a little mature at her age when she came 16. Michael wasn't. So we have to make some adjustments. It can't just be, well, I know I said 16, so that's what it's going to be. That's not how it works. You have to have the discernment to say, no, we may have to push it a year for you. You might have to wait till 17. It can't always just be about being fair, you know, so gotta have that discernment and not just base all your decisions on, I just got to be fair across the board. Sometimes that it don't work like that. Are you a responsible person? Are you responsible to the point where you're actually not even stopping and smelling the roses along the way? I had a friend who used to work like 2-3 jobs at a time sometimes. You know, every time I call, they're like, I'm at work. I'm like, I know what you doing. I'm going to ask you what you're doing, because I know what you're doing. And it's like, you making all of this money, but when do you ever get a time to spend it? When do you ever get a time to enjoy it? When do you ever get a time, like, you know, every moment you working. So sometimes, yes, being responsible obviously is going to get you ahead in life, but you gotta have that balance, you know. I'm not saying it gotta be 50-50. Even if you work 60-40. And listen, I ain't going past 70-30. Because 90% work, 80%, like, to me, no. Everybody got their own measurements. And that's it. But I would say 70-30 is the most I would be willing to say, okay, that's cool. But you start getting into that 80-20, 90-10, 95-5, like, okay, listen, we gonna have to have a talk, because what's going on? When do you even have time, not only for yourself, for your family, for your friends? Like, you gotta keep it balanced. Life is a balancing act, you know, and sometimes you might be doing it for a season. That's different. Because you might be saying, well, listen, right now I got to buckle down. I'm trying to buy a house. I'm trying to, you know, get a car. I'm trying to start a business, whatever the case is. So for these next 2 years, I got to grind. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when this becomes your lifestyle. This is what you've been doing for 10 years, 20 years. Like, it's a lifestyle thing, you know, and you just constantly work. All work and no play. Like, come on, we gotta balance things out, yo. We gotta balance it out. Are you a person who's persistent? Persistence can get you far, but you have to know where to draw the line. Discernment. If you are trying to be what's that word called? You're trying to approach a girl and she's not really like giving you that right away, like, oh yeah, you could call me, you know. She ain't giving it to you right away, but that don't throw you off and you like, I'm gonna be a little persistent. Okay, that's all right. I like the hunt. You want to play a little hard to get? We can do this 2-step, you know. So you're gonna be persistent. You're gonna show up, you know. It can actually end up working out for you. But depending on how you do it, it can also end up getting you a restraining order. Okay, so listen, I'm just saying, you have to know how to do stuff. You can't just be persistent in a way where now you just looking a little crazy. So, gotta have that discernment. you trying to get a job. Calling the place up after you undone the interview. Hey, I'm calling. I came in for an interview. Just wanted to see, if you made a decision yet. Oh, you know what? I'm so glad that's great. I'm glad you called. That shows me that you're, really interested in this job. I'll definitely be letting you know by the end of the week. See? It paid off. You being persistent. You didn't stop at the interview. You called. Next day, you called back. Hey, it's Tony. I talked to you yesterday. Just want to know if you made a decision about the job. Now, you seem like you don't know how to follow directions. Because didn't she say she was going to call you back by the end of the week? So why are you calling again? You just called yesterday. Now that could work against you. So you got to know when to turn it on, turn it off, apply the pressure, take your foot off the gas. Like, you got to have the discernment. You got to keep things at a balance, So, are you a curious person? But you know the saying, curiosity killed the cat. So again, when do we let our curiosities get the best of us? There's that argument that people have when it comes to relationships, and they say if everything's going good in your relationship and nothing is happening to where you are questioning anything, why are you being curious and going and looking through this girl phone or looking through this man phone? So are you looking for trouble? But then the other person say, well, listen, whether I'm having feelings or not having feelings, if I go through the phone, it really shouldn't matter because you shouldn't be doing nothing, right? So what's the problem? These are the times that curiosity can come back and bite you in the butt. What kind of curious person are you? Is it curious in a way where, it's just you gotta know when to have that curiosity, and you gotta know when I'm just being a little newsy or when I'm just being a little, looking for trouble or things to that nature. They ain't come up with that saying for nothing. Curiosity killed the cat. You see a whole bunch of stuff happening across the street. It look like some rowdy stuff going on, and you like, oh shoot, what's that? Let me check that out. Next thing you know, you done got shot with the people. Why are you going over there? Listen, if you thought it was something like crazy, pick up the phone, call the cops, give them your location. I'm not really sure what's going on, but I'd rather be safe than sorry. Can you come check this out? But I'm curious. I need to go and look myself. And now you laid out victim number 3. So when is our curiosity actually hurting us? Are you a lazy person? Come on. A lot of us have lazy tendencies, but not necessarily lazy people. I definitely have lazy tendencies, but I don't consider myself a lazy person. There might be someone who, no, I am a lazy person, Sometimes we have a right and a reason to be lazy. Sometimes you might have actually been running ragged for the last week, couple weeks, couple months, and so your body just clunk out. And you shut down for the next 2 months. You don't feel like doing nothing. Well, that wouldn't necessarily be lazy because your body is reacting to you overworking. See, that's why you can't overwork, and you have to pace yourself because it's about longevity. If you're trying to do too much and you end up clonking out. You have to know when to say, you know what, it's 7 o'clock. Let me stop for tonight. I'll save the rest tomorrow. Listen, I'm not I am the rollover queen. I will roll something over so quick. Yeah, I'll just do that tomorrow. Some people, they don't want to roll over. They're trying to get as much checked off today as possible. And even when they get everything checked off today, they still gonna have more stuff to do tomorrow because they just put so much on their plate that they don't even know how to ever take a break. So you want to have the consistency, longevity, you have to pace yourself, or else you get a lot done in a 4, 5, 6 month period just to be laid out for 2-3 months down from putting yourself in the hospital. So you have to know when I'm being lazy because I just don't feel like doing anything, or is your body actually responding to you over actually exerting yourself? Are you a planner? I'm definitely a planner. You already see. I got my notebook. I don't want to. I don't want to come on here and freestyle. When you freestyle, you end up not remembering all the things that you might have wanted to talk about, and then I end the live and be like, oh shoot, I forgot to say this or I forgot to say that. So to me, I've always loved to be organized. I always love to know what's going on, what I'm going to do. So it can affect me as far as my spontaneity. You want to call me on the spot like, girl, what you doing? You going to be ready in an hour so we can go do such and such? I'm like, what? That's not my preference, okay? I'm not really the spontaneous kind of person. We already talked about this last week, so I already know that was going to happen. So yes, you might be a person who's only spontaneous. You're not really a good planner. You're not really organized. You only really work on spontaneity. That's very exciting and fun, but it can also be a downside if you're needing to be organized more. So both ways can have pros and cons, so figure out what area you're in and figure out if it's something that you want to fine tune. Because again, these things are just things for you to do a self-check. Some things you might feel okay with. You might say, hey, listen, I know I'm not spontaneous, and that's okay with me. I don't feel like I need to be more spontaneous. I prefer to stay my plan type of person. I feel comfortable that way. That works for me. Are you persuasive? Obviously, this is going to help you if you've had a chance when you were younger to be on a debate team. This has prepared you for the world, because being able to persuade people and, close a deal, if you work in real estate and you're able to sell this house with your words, obviously, but also sometimes you just need them extra kind of words to maybe close the deal. Or you're a lawyer, you need to persuade the crowd, the jury, that your client is innocent. Maybe you want to just persuade that person at the store to knock $20 off your purchase. Whatever the case is, it's going to always take you far in life when you're able to be a great persuader. Even if it's in your relationship. Ooh, can't we just, and you're able to use your persuasion to get your way on a certain area that you're like, dang, he's not going to let me do it, or she's not going to let me do it. How can I persuade this situation? Persuasion is going to get you far. Now, it can become negative when you're using your charm and persuasive way to scam people. Come on now. To sell things that, to be in situations where you're being manipulative and all this kind of stuff. So sometimes we use our things that we've been blessed with to punish people, to work in your benefit, to their detriment. So we got to be careful with that. Are you calm under pressure? I definitely am working in that area. I used to work on the ambulance, and I will always be like, please don't be having nobody coding on me or doing stuff, you know, because it's just a lot of pressure when you're in a situation where, you know, someone's relying on you or anything to that nature. So eventually I do see myself being better in that type of situation when I watch movies and things, and, you know, like somebody in a situation where they get a gun pulled on them or this and the third. Are you able to be calm under pressure? Do you have that fight or flight reaction, or do you have the freeze? And I feel like I'm kind of a freeze person. I feel like it takes, because number one, I'm analytical and I analyze things. And so sometimes, because, again, it kind of boils down to the planner, the organizer, what I was just saying. Not being a spontaneous person, it is kind of connected. So having that spontaneity to make that decision on the spot, and me, my wiring always needs to think, always need to plan, always need to think of the pros and the cons. Okay, so the whole time the gun is in my face, I'm trying to quickly compute and analyze, like, okay, looking around, what are the chances here? Are there people around? Do it look like I can, you know, get away? Do it look like I can easily grab this gun? Like, I'm doing the analyzation of the situation. But some people, you know, they're not, they're very spontaneous. They decide on 2 seconds, I'm grabbing this gun, or I'm running, or I'm this and, you know. So what is your response system? Are you able to work? Are you able to be calm under pressure? Do you have a fight, flight, or freeze? Are you okay with whatever it is that you have, or is it something that you want to work on to be in a different category? If things are not going the way how you want them to go, are you a person who's able to say, okay, this isn't working, I need to try something else? It is so important that you're able to do that, because if you're a person who's set in stone, set, you know, like, no, I said I was going to do this, and so I'm going to make this work. That can be a good thing, obviously, because who knows, maybe you just needed a little bit more time. But if time is going past, you gave yourself a year to get this restaurant off the ground, and maybe not off the ground where you're like making, you know, a whole bunch of profit, but you're at least seeing something, nothing happens. So you push it to, okay, 1 more year. It's kind of the same, possibly even worse. 3 more years. Like, where is the line? Are you able to make a line in the sand and say, you know what, this may not have been a good move. I may have to try something else. I may have to sell this. I may have to file bankruptcy. I may have to. Are you able to do that, or are you kind of stuck in your ways, you know, no matter what someone say, to try to get you to see that, hey, this isn't working. Oh, I don't want to hear it, you know. Are you able to know when that time has come that you might need to try something different? Are you a detail-oriented person, or are you just like a bigger picture person? Now, again, some of these work for you. Whatever one you want, it might work for you. Me personally, me letting you know I'm an organized person, you might already know I'm detail-oriented. I need to know all of the facts before I can make a decision. You just calling me and saying, hey, you're gonna be free on Friday. We're gonna be having a pajama party at a hotel. Okay, that's the big picture. Okay, Friday, pajama party, hotel. Some people, that might be all only information they need. Just the big picture. Oh yeah, that sounds fun, I'm there. Absolutely not. What are the details? Okay, who all gonna be there? What hotel? What area is this gonna be in? What time this gonna be? Like, I need to know the facts. I'm very detail oriented. You cannot just give me a big picture. I need all of the details when you're going to bring something to me. So everybody works differently. So yes, if in whatever category you're in, that might work for you. So this is just to help you determine, you know what, maybe I need to be a little more detail oriented, or maybe, you know, the big picture is working for you, whatever the case is. How do you speak? How do you speak to people? Are you like aggressive? Do you have that kind of aggressive energy? You know, now everyone's different, but I would say, speak for myself. Me, I am kind of like a sensitive person, so it's not my preference and it's not ideal to really be around like aggressive energy. That doesn't work for me. The only time I don't mind aggressive energy might be, you know, for extracurriculars, but that's neither here nor there. But outside of that, no. That aggressive stuff is not really going to work for me. So for instance, Chef Ramsay, I could never work for someone like him. I could never be, I don't care how much money it is. And see, this could be an area that some might say, well, that's a weak area, because if you're going to make a lot of money, then you should be able to, you know, not personalize it and know that, you know, he's not your friend, he's not your husband, so who cares? He, you know, is a little rambunctious, like, just do your job and go home, don't personalize him screaming at you and cussing you out. You know, I've had plenty of bosses like that. I can't do it. I'm not, first of all, I just feel like at the end of the day, it's professionalism. You don't have to talk to me this kind of way to get your point across. I have self-respect, I have self-worth, and I don't want to be treated like that. And I can find another job, because this ain't gonna work for me. Again, that's me. Someone else might say, girl, that don't bother me, that roll right off of me, I ain't listening to him. And to be honest, I want to be more like that, but I'm just not wired like that. I'm very sensitive, and I don't feel that environment would be healthy for me. Also, like, even when you think of like American Idol and Simon and how he likes to let you know that you sound like crap in the most harsh way possible. I just feel like there's a way to give criticism and there's a way to just be an a-hole. And I don't find that to be conducive to what works for me. So yes, those kind of situations is just like, really? You know, so like, that's an area that I don't blossom in. Aggressive energy. I compute it as negative, and I don't really want to be a part of it. You know, some people are naturally that way. They're naturally, you know, just a kind of aggressive person. And again, if that's you and you say, hey, listen, I've been this way all my life. If you too sensitive and you just can't roll with me, you can't be my friend, this, that, and the third, because I'm not, you know, softening myself for nobody. That's your right. And that's okay. And you are correct. We will not be friends. So yes, that is not something that definitely works for me. Would you say that you're more of an introverted or extroverted type of individual? One is not better than the other. It's just allowing you to see that sometimes if you putting yourself in situations that actually might work better if you were introverted, or this situation might work better if you were extroverted. So for instance, let's say you're more of an introverted person. You get drained from too much contact with people, having to be around people all the time, and then you get yourself in a job where that's all you're doing. Being around 100 people every day, having to entertain, speak, you're a hostess, and this, that, you're going to be constantly in a state of being drained. So So that's why it's good to know what type of person you are. If you're extroverted, you might accelerate in that atmosphere because that actually gives you energy. Introverted, you might need to find a job where you actually can work from home, or maybe even just be in an office setting where it's not as much interaction with people. So that's why it's good to know who you are, because it will help you in your day-to-day life, in your day-to-day decisions. That's the point of this live. Are you someone who can make other people feel special? Or do you need to have the attention all the time? And listen, everybody is a certain way for whatever reason. But this is a pet peeve of mine. I don't know what it is, but people who just need the spotlight, it's a difference to, want the spotlight, but when you need it, like you can't thrive without being in the spotlight. It don't even matter if you go to, and then sometimes if you have friends like that, they won't even let you never have a moment. You can never be great because everything you do, they gotta top it. Every story you bring to the table, they gonna have a better story. You sit there and say, oh girl, I had a good breakfast today. I had some pancakes and eggs. It was so good. Here they come. Oh, well, shoot, I had French toast, sausage, orange juice, like everything. It could be the dumbest stuff, but they need to always steal the thunder. Everything has to be better with them. It's like, girl, did you get any attention when you were younger? Like, what's going on? Seriously. So be careful if you are in a circle with people like that, because I'm telling you, they will possibly sabotage you or any type of stuff if it means that you getting more attention than they are. Like, so you got to really be careful when you keep the company of people who need that spotlight by any means necessary. Would you say that you have self-discipline? Obviously, self-discipline is going to get you far, being able to stay on yourself, check yourself, that is probably the one thing that I think everyone is going to struggle with in some way, shape, or form, in some type of category. For me, one of the ones y'all definitely know is this weight loss journey, man. I'm telling you, like, why food be so good, y'all? And you be sitting there like, oh no, I'ma just eat salad this week. You do it for 2 days, 3 days, and then you like, man, I'm over that. You gotta be intentional. Like, are you an intentional person? When you come up with a plan and you make a decision, you follow it through, regardless. Or is it like, well, yeah, this is the plan, but if it happens, it happens. You gotta be intentional. That's the way how you get to self-discipline. Being intentional. Doing things as a matter of fact. And not where the wind blows. Can't be a where the wind blow person. Well, if it's meant to be, it'll be. If it happens, it'll happen. Yeah, I said today I'm gonna wash the clothes, but I can do it tomorrow. Be intentional. Have self-discipline. If that's what you put on your list to do for the day, do it. And yes, it's easier said than done, but you have to take the steps necessary to get better. I love making lists because it feels good when you check stuff off. So if you have a daily planner where you sit there, write out the things that you plan to do today, put a little box next to it, and check off every single one as you get through the day. And actually, it's good to do this because when the end of the week comes and you go through every single page from Monday through Sunday, if you got all your boxes checked on all those days, you know how productive you're gonna feel? Like, okay, girl, I see you setting goals and knocking them down. Like, that's what I'm talking about. It might also be a thing where you go through Monday through Sunday and look at them looking like, dang, 2 boxes checked out of 7. Ooh, that wasn't a good day. 1 box checked out of 10. Ooh, not my best performance. This day, none of the boxes checked. Wow, so you was just really chilling today. So like you can be able to do a self-check and actually see your progress. So that can actually be a tool that you utilize, you know, day to day to keep on top of yourself and get better with that self-discipline. Are you going to say that you're a person that holds yourself accountable? A lot of us do not hold ourselves accountable. Let's just take accountability right now to say that we are not accountable. Sometimes we can be accountable in other areas, but not other areas. Sometimes you're not accountable across the board. What are you going to do to fix it? If you are a person who don't have a problem with this, you are way ahead in the game, because sometimes just being able to say, hey, you know what, I'm sorry, I messed up, and it ends it right there. Because believe it or not, sometimes whatever the problem was becomes smaller than the actual accountability. It started with the problem, but as soon as you took that accountability just like knocked it all the way off the board. And then the more that you keep dancing around, not admitting, not taking accountability, just, you know, acting stupid, playing dumb, you know, gaslighting, all these things, the problem starts to become less of the actual issue. They're not even worried about that too much anymore. Now what's magnified is this performance. So you really gonna play in my face like this? Now that's actually the issue, not even the problem no more. So sometimes just having the accountability right away, it kind of puts out the fire before it can even become a blaze. Do you have gratitude? Or are you one of those people who feel like people supposed to do this for me? When somebody do something for you, are you thankful? Or do you feel like that's what they were supposed to do anyway? You know, like what kind of aura do you give off? Because no one's want to help you when you are responding in a way that shows no gratitude, no appreciation. Like, is that an area you need to work on? Some people will say thank you, and that they didn't even want to. They're mad at the fact they even had to thank you. They're not thankful. They're mad because they didn't really want to help, ask you for help. And so they really don't even want to be bothered with the whole situation at all. But honestly, if the person came through for you, be thankful. You may not wanted them to know your business. You may not wanted to get anyone involved. But guess what? They didn't have to show up for you either. So you have to be able to put those feelings to the side and actually be grateful, because that's going to make them not mind being there again. You think they're going to like want to when they're like, Dad, you know, I did X, Y, and Z, and this person didn't even have, didn't even tell me thank you, or just, kind of act like they had an attitude, or, like, definitely going to have to reevaluate that if you have that kind of a situation going on. Are you a person who have empathy? Or are you like that person who I said that needs the attention to always be on them? If I'm telling you my story and I'm actually, crying or just very emotional or very bothered, and I'm telling you, hey, this is what happened, this was bothered me so bad, and are you going to sit in that moment with me? Are you going to really listen to me, really be there for me? Or are you just like, wow, that's messed up? Did you see that post on Facebook? Like, that's crazy. You heard like that. So really, you could care less. You couldn't care, you couldn't care less. So it's like, you don't need these type of people in your circle. Are you the person who's this way? This is the accountability check. This is an area you need to work on. Most definitely. Would you say, and this is the most important one, would you say that you're a person who's willing to change? Because a lot of times we know that some of these areas that I talked about are areas that are weak spots for us, but we're like, you know what? I've been this way for 30 plus years, 40 plus years. I'm not changing. It is what it is. Either people accept me or they don't accept me. This is the talk that you do to not be accountable. This is the talk that you do so that they're the problem. You're not the problem. If they're not going to accept me for me, see, now you're putting the problem on them. You know, it can't be that you just have work to do and you're not willing to do it. So now you have to surround yourself with people who don't have boundaries, because that's the only type of people who would actually be around someone who's doing all of this crazy stuff. Someone who has boundaries will not allow someone into their life who's doing a lot of this toxic stuff. So unless you're willing to change, you have people around you who have no boundaries, or their boundaries are very flexible, or they have a sense of loyalty to you because of the fact that, like I said, you're titled to them, you've been around long, whatever the case is. But people with healthy boundaries, self-respect, self-worth are not going to allow you to be in their life when you plan in their face. So you need to do a self-check. To get back on the topic, the New Year blues. How can we prevent this New Year's that we're going to come up on soon? How can we make next year look better for us? Look more productive? You know, working on your character traits, that's going to help because you're bettering yourself. Bettering yourself is going to take you even further than just hyper focusing on an actual situation. Oh, I don't need to work on myself. I need to better this business. I need to, you know, better this hobby that I'm doing. Or no, the most important thing you can do is work on yourself, because if you get yourself in check, everything else is going to follow. So if you work on these character traits that you're lacking, you're being procrastinating, you're being lazy, you're doing it, those are things that's holding you back naturally because of the type of person you are. So like I said, working on these character traits, finding the ones that are weak and strengthening them are going to take you so far. And I guarantee you that if you do that, next year is going to look way different than this year. And then you can take yourself off of the hamster wheel, going in circles year after year, not feeling like you're doing the things that you want to do that's making you feel bad. And you can put yourself in a new lane. So that is my hope for you. I really hope that this has helped someone, get them thinking and everything like that. I thank you for being here for the Pajama Party podcast, and I hope that you check out the reel that I made earlier this morning. We will be back on live next weekend, Saturday and Sunday, 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm really trying to keep this going, y'all. Okay, I'm really not a morning person. I am not. But look at me doing, listen, I'm doing the weaknesses things too. Because my weakness was, I ain't feel like getting up today. Okay, going back to the consistency thing. But I said, girl, get up and do it. That's what you said you was going to do. Be intentional. Self-discipline. So this is not just for y'all. This is when I'm doing these are for all of us. This is for myself too. So that we can get better and we can move forward and start knocking these goals down. So I tell you again, enjoying the journey along the way. I hope that you guys hit me up in my Gmail, candyrayne1@gmail.com. If you have a story that you want to share, let's get this interview going. And next week, I'll be putting up the new remix to Don't Walk Away. And I don't think there's any other news to report. I am going to probably, I don't know what I'm about to do, but I just thank you guys for participating today, and I will see you next weekend. Have a blessed day. All right. Same thing with you, YouTube. Thank you for joining. I'll see you next weekend.